Hello, everybody, and welcome to HomoGalactus session number 3. We're excited to be here, and we are in the same place. We're in Phoenix, Arizona today, actually Mesa, and we're together because Rico is here in town, and he came into town for the 50th anniversary. Well, why don't you say? And then we'll
50th anniversary of the Keys of Enoch. They were embedded into Hurtak's consciousness, and it took him a couple of years to write the book. I think he got it out in 78 or 77. And so it contained 54 keys of information of how we can evolve ourselves into a higher or live in our higher realms. And then the last 10 keys, which we did number 8 this time, are additional information that was reserved until now. Can you imagine that? So this was 8th year. So from 8 years ago till now, that was 2012, right? 2012 or 2013. Every year he came out with a new edition.
So he being Dr. JJ Hurtak.
Exactly.
And Dr. Desiree Hurtak, his wife.
Exactly.
And they co-hosted the, what does AFFS stand for?
Academy of Future Science.
There we go. So that's what we attended last week.
So we attended, they covered this book. It was 3.5 days. They didn't cover every line, every sentence, but there was so much supporting ancillary information that it'll take us a year to read this and to understand it and implement it in our life. Portions we will implement right away, as we'll show you during the course of this, because the information is powerful. Before we go much further, it's good for us to attune our biological earth vehicles to a higher, asking for higher consciousness. And we're going to say a very short little prayer mantra to raise our vibration and make that connection. We're going to realign with the source. So take a breath. Oh, infinite creator, supreme designer of this universe, we thank you for so many, many blessings and the opportunities to know and integrate and entangle with you better. We ask you now to infuse the Spirit upon us so that we may replicate accurately the information that not only that we have internalized, but you've asked us to remember and share. And as part of that, we're going to say a short mantra to activate the source of all things, which is Yod He Vod He. And on the right hand of the Creator, you all know that it's the Christus. And on the left hand is Metatron, which is also known in Aramaic and Hebrew as El Shaddai. So it'll go Yod He Vod He Christus El Shaddai. 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 That forms a ethereal triangle between the Creator, the one who's on his right hand or its right hand, and on its left hand. That energy, that loving bondedness between those three elements of the now and of the Creator has created everything else that we can experience, including us. And we're here to relate some of that to you, because now is the time for us to align. And now is the time for us to align. Yeah, baby. I'll tell you, your body is a musical instrument. And when you would tune it to these various mantras, you were turning your musical instrument into a song fest. So you wake up singing, you live your day singing, you sing before you go to sleep for your enlightenment or your joyous entertainment. You have a choice.
All right. So how many of the conferences did you attend so far?
Well,
have you attended?
Hey, mind your own business. I'm having opening. I didn't say Siri. Give me a break here. Well, they've had 8 of them so far, and I've been to 3. 1 in Sedona, and then 2 here in Phoenix.
Okay.
They moved it from Sedona because the first several were done in Sedona, and it was very complicated. The hotel rooms were very, very expensive. People who came from other parts of the country felt that they should be bused freely to Sedona. They didn't realize it was an hour and a half or 2 hours away from Phoenix. So there were a lot of complaints. And the year that we went there, we had without a doubt the absolute worst hotel room. It was the last one that was available in the $80 a night price range. And we would have had a better time had we brought a tent and slept outside. But anyway, that's another story. It was the most horrible configured room. And when they moved it back to Phoenix, I loved it. Of course, then the COVID came and the lockdown, and I didn't feel like sitting there for 3.5 days with a mask on. And we had to have arms spread so the chairs were not touching. And so, I bought the book and read the book. And if I wanted more detail, which I eventually will when finances allow, I'll buy that session. I'll buy all the sessions because I record them. But this one was phenomenal. Of the 8 that he did, now, why do I say that? It's divided up into 10 keys. We all know about Moses. Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the tablets. And what did he see? He saw that the people went, hey, he's gone 40 days. He's not coming back. A lion up there ate him. He got us this far. Now it's time to bring out that golden calf, man. Let us have some jive time. You saw the movie? So they built a golden calf and started to and do all the things that they shouldn't do because it's not using your body as a musical instrument for enlightenment. Not saying that it's bad, it's just not the higher consciousness. So Moses, after 40 days, turned all white, carrying 2 50-pound tablets, comes down there and he sees these people beep, beep, do whatever the hell they're doing with the golden calf. He got pissed off. Hey, what you doing? He threw the tablets down, went back up for another 40 days. I don't know how the people handled that, but there was all kinds of stuff. You saw the movie. He came back down with another set of tablets, and these one we know about, thou shalt not. So the thought is, if you go back into the archaeology and the mysticism of all of this, that the message that they're trying to, the consciousness on the planet at that particular time, especially with the tribe of Israel being released from Egypt as slaves, whatever configuration they were in, they were an uncontrollable motley crew. And so they needed to have some rules for further hanging around in the desert for 40 years. 40 years, can you imagine? So until all those people who were fooling around with the calf were gone, right? They probably like, after 40 years in the desert, man, take me. I don't care where you take me. I'm done with this. My feet hurt, my knees hurt. I don't want to be in the desert anymore. Boom. They were all gone. And of course,
You're sunburned.
the sunburn. And you should have seen my back. It was a sunburn. It looked like this television. Anyway, so they had to have some rules for social integration. And that's where the thou shalt nots came. We all know that. But Hurtak has gone and given us the thou shalls. And I'd like to read that to you because this is important. The first 5, it's like a sidle circuit. We come down, we go back up. We come down, we go back up. Because we're a musical instrument, we have high notes, we have low notes, we have middle notes, we have ritmo de higher consciousness, right? So the descending one, which formulates the core of the realization that you are not a body, but a higher self, is this: thou shalt be the light. The light and love of Christ, we've heard about that. Hey, what's the light? Christians, stop it. Hey, the light, you go and talk to Christ, he'll tell you the light. Well, this is a much more detailed version of the light and how important it is and how expansive it is. Enough said on that. The next one is the image, because the universe was created in images and similarities, image and similitude. This one explains the things that you recognize. Oh, that was inspirational. That's great. It's in the image and similitude. I'll give you one quickie, just a quickie. You are an eternal being, and you inhabit a biological earth vehicle, which we call a body. And you say, yeah, we heard all of that. Okay, in similitude, you, as a consciousness inside a body, go into your car and do things on the earth. So if you look at that union, that synergy of this to the car, the body is a higher consciousness because it tells it where to go. Well, in similitude, the body is allowing us to live on the planet, but the higher self is telling the body how to survive and how to elevate itself so that it can be one. So you got the light and the image and similitude. The next one is the name. You know, God said to Adam, so I got Eve here. She's, not close. She's looking good. Hey, look, go and name this stuff. Go out there, let her do the garden. You go out there and name things. And naming is important because each name is a musical note. And it's being played in the light and image of the Creator. So he explains that. And there's a book this size here. It's not a big book. It's on 200 pages, full of powerful stuff. But you're on the way down. Light, imagery and similitude, naming so that we know what the references are. The next one is, thou shalt be the kingdom. So we got light, we got image and similitude, we got names for everything, and now we realize, hey, we're part of a group. This is part of the Enlightenment clan. And the next one is the family. Not only we are part of a group, we are connected and bonded by creation as being a united, synergistic, holistic, epigalactic, pan-dimensional family. And they explain all of that in there. It's not easy reading, but it gives you a real foundation of what life on the planet Earth, synergistically coordinated with the universe, is about. Well, you can't stay down on the planet all the time. Hey, you got to move around. So now we start bouncing back up. And the next 5 keys are the bounce back. And what does that start with? That starts with the word. Oh, but I thought you mentioned that in the image and similitude and the names and the family and the whole thing. Yeah, but there's a lot more words that are associated with that, which coalesce all of that important foundation that we just gave you in the 5 keys. Oh, okay, I'll learn a few more words. We could use words. I mean, everybody's got to have a word, right? The next one is being a witness. So things are going on, words are being said, families being recognized, and you sit back and go, well, I am not the creator of all of this. I'm a co-creator, but I want to go and witness the transformational power of this process. And then that's what they did last year, was witness. This year is, now that you've witnessed all of this stuff, now we're coming back up. Right? We're the ascension part. We're about midway. There's only 2 more after us. How do you utilize that You observed as a witness. That's observation. What are you getting out of that? Is there some wisdom involved? Is there some, that's the thing. Thou shalt be the wisdom. And then the next two was communion, which we won't know until next year at this time. And then the final one is the covenant. The covenant, the communion is obviously we're sharing the idea that we're all eternal beings, full of light and love and names and witnessing and wisdom and everything we're doing good. But we're all communion together. And we're sharing this creative energy together. And the last one, covenant, means taking it serious. We're making a commitment. We agree to go and live this vibrational pattern. And then the world will do what the world does, and we will be in a different vibrational pattern altogether, able to handle it all. So instead of thou shalt not this and thou shalt not that, now thou shalt be the light, thou shalt be the image, thou shalt be the family, or the word, a word, thou shalt be the family. And then you come up on the other side. Now we want to know how do we save the words? How do we energize our musical instrument? How can we witness all of this and see how it applies on our planet? And how can we use this as wisdom for living effectively on the planet? And he goes into tremendous things here. And then the communion and the covenant. So that is, in a nutshell, a 5-minute, 10-minute nutshell. Hey, you're lucky you didn't sit there for 3.5 days listening to, and it's great. It was great. Man, I think it should go to 5 days. That way he could cover everything and go into the tangents that he goes in, because the guy, Dr. Hurtak, has been embedded with all of this information already 50 years ago. And he's had it all bottled up inside. And he's kind of like a recording. You give him a trigger, and not only does he say what's in the book from memory and feeling, but he has tangents and additional information. His wife is there. Let's keep on track here. We got 2.5 days. They're going, if you keep doing this, we're going to have to be here 1.5 weeks. You know what I mean? So the two of them together are just incredible. One is on purpose, and the other one is in the higher energies.
There was such an outpouring of information that just, they were speaking in tandem. They were one right after the other, and all of us were, listening intently, but also myself and Rico attempting to take notes. And there was just such an outflow of information, and also intense, that it was tough to write it all down. But we do have some highlights, and that's what we're going to talk more about as we progress. Well, I wanted to share a few things about my experience. This is the first time I ever attended. My father finally invited me because he felt I was ready for it. So I think that during the pandemic, I experienced quite a transformation myself. I became a lot more spiritual, just wanting to absolve myself from the chaos that ensued in our society, and a lot of the conflict that we were seeing over the last 3 years. And so I started to do a lot of meditation, and I started doing yoga, and I actually got invited to be part of a kirtan band. We do meditation music. I play guitar and write songs. So one of the things I thought was super cool, and I'm going to focus a little bit on some of the additional things that were at the conference, not so much on the Hurtak aspect, because that's Rico's specialty. He's been following him since 1978, by the way. There was an individual there that did music from plants. So we're all frequency and vibration. And if you think about it, everything on the earth is frequency and vibration. It's not just us as individuals. It's not necessarily mechanical items. It's the plants, it's the rocks, it's the grass. Everything has a vibration to it. So remind me of her name again.
Anya Dion.
Yes. So she had a device that she hooked up to plants, and they would emit a frequency that came across as as a note or as its own music. And so it would change pitch, and we actually sang along with the plant. So I thought that was really significant. Another individual item that I wanted to mention was that we participated in different mantras. The mantras are designed to raise your vibration and tap into the higher aspects of who you are as an eternal being. And there was also, Hurtak also talked about and defined different chakras. So if any of you are familiar with the fact that we have 7 meridians that are built into the physical body by way of our soul, there are 7 chakras. If any of you are familiar with those, there's actually up to 28 chakras. So Hurtak did go into the meaning, and it was very intense. A lot of information, too much for me to try to repeat or read, of course, but he went through the definitions of the 21st through the 28th chakra.
Just let me just add one thing. He showed the human body with the 7 chakras. Then he showed the transitioning body of a higher frequency, and it was superimposed on the original earthbound 3-dimensional body. Now, it turns out that the 4th chakra, which is the heart, is the gateway to allowing spiritual entanglement, if you will. So the 4th chakra becomes the root chakra of the next vibration of who you are. So the love that you emit allows the growth of the next vibration. So if you take this all the way up to the 28th, you've got 6 different dimensional processes that you can go through. And of course, he described each one of those in the book and how it was, and they're called, Homo sapiens, Homo sapiens sapiens, terrestrial, extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrial, ultra-angelic terrestrials. So you picture these cascading images on top of each other, but you got to start someplace. And if you don't know about those things going, you start with the one that you've got, right? The family, the word, the name. You start with what you got, right? And as you enlighten that and allow that musical instrument to grow in awareness, then you become aware of the next vibrational pattern that you are, which is part of your higher self. But its root chakra is your heart. And then its heart chakra is the root of the one above it. And so you picture yourself as a Jacob's ladder of enlightenment, because everything is enlightening and your joyous entertainment, because everything has got to be joyous. The supreme infinite creator of all is happy. Essentially, he's the only one that's smiling all the time in every way. We have another dance that we're going through. So if he's always happy and he's joyous, now the reason why I use joyous, because we talk about, the joy and that joy, got to add you to that joy. And when you add you to the joy, it becomes J-O, capital Y-O-U, to remind you that you are part of that joy. Joyous, and it's joyous or joyousness, depending on how your grammatical phrasing goes to be. That's why I always say, everything is for your enlightenment, or or your joyous entertainment. Because if you're being enlightenment, that's an entertainment, because you're being a witness. Remember the guy who's a witness? The witness is being entertained, and because he's contributory alignment. What is that? What is it? Joyousness, yeah, with a capital O-Y, capital, well, no, okay, I do it this way. Give me your pen. It's this way. It's small j, small o, capital Y, capital O.
They were.
Well, this the U, and then S, N-E-S-S. But U is part of the joyousness.
We needed a Sharpie for this. Or you can say, "Hey, Joe, you nice."
Yeah, that's right. Because, hey, Joe, somebody said, well, you got the Y-O-U there. How do you pronounce the Y-O-U? I say, hey, Joe, you nice. Use the Y-O-U-S, use. You nice.
Now, also, they had PowerPoint presentations and they had a lot of diagrams, and they showed the overlay when you talked about the heart
Yes, yeah, I
chakra
got a picture of
being
it.
the root
Right.
of the oversoul, right? Do you have this in this book?
It's
that
not
we
in,
can
it's
show?
not in that book.
Oh,
It's,
okay, let me look at the picture.
He did different pictures. Every page of the book has a picture.
Can we share at least one?
Yeah, of course.
And they were very, very cool. Dr. Desiree Hurtak does many of them.
Each page has a picture, and now they're all copyrighted and
Oh yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
You got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So, and as you turn, you see, Mila, look, each page, it's got a picture. So if it has 150, 200 pages, like this one has 200 pages, 100 pages is text and 100 pages is picture. And he said, why? Well, because the picture is part of the musical enlightenment of your spiritual body. When you go and say a particular thing, you look at the picture and the picture reinforces the mantra that you said. So not only is it musical notes, it's also pictograms. And the pictograms and the notes together allow you to break the mold that we've created for ourselves of being only one body. We're not a body, we're a higher dimensional self inside a body on the planet for a lot of learning and higher alignments.
There were a lot of different musicians and different guest speakers that I have a couple of items, very interesting items I want to talk about with the guest speakers. But they also had a choir. So I wanted to touch on how, from my perspective, being exposed to a lot of different philosophies and religions, I did spend maybe a decade or more in the Baptist church. I found that the teachings kind of gleaned from various sources, mostly Old Testament based. Hurtak goes into the Aramaic and the Hebrew and the Greek and goes into a lot of the interpretations and translations, but also blending, as we just talked about the chakras, blending some of the Eastern philosophies as well as extraterrestrials. So I felt he's very, very well-rounded when it comes to blending, because we're all connected and everybody kind of has their own message, like a different channel on a radio. So instead of switching to several different channels, he kind of brings a lot of those beautiful notes together as one song. But the communion on Sunday was just beautiful, and they had a choir, and I felt I was overcome with emotion. I was really, really touched by the flow and the way, the whole room just flowed together, and there wasn't a whole lot of direction of you move here and you move there. Everybody just kind of went together in a very nice order, and it gave everybody the opportunity to really embrace, because it was an Easter. These conferences typically are held on Easter weekend, so it was Easter Sunday, and beautiful.
This is an insight, because we all know about various Christian religions that do communion. This, not only did he go and describe the process of the sanctification and transfiguration of the symbolic bread and wine combination, as Denise was mentioning, the flow, which we got from the very first row. The first person in the leftmost, rightmost person in the first row got up, and everybody else just followed.
And we were number 2 and 3. We got
2 and 3. Can you believe it? Beep was great. So we all went just row by row, one right after another, the whole thing. So we got a chance when we got back after we got our bread, and you had a choice of either wine or juice.
I took the wine.
I took the juice.
I wanted to be a little bit more
traditional. That's good. but I'm Mormoncito, so hey, we're talking about the wine. Hey, we're not allowed. No,
Jesus turned wine into
yeah,
water,
we could do.
and then the water back into
We had
wine.
a choice. We had a choice, and I chose not to do the wine. So we held that and watched everybody do that, and then we had a simultaneous communion at the end. And I think that is really important because even in our church, we hand out the communion. Everybody, wine. We should all do. When they all get back, then the bishop should say, okay, and now we commune together, and we all take the sacrament together and say our prayers and say our thing. And then the same thing goes around with the water. Everybody holds the water. Hey, you can't change everybody's mind. But this was what it was. And he explained the whole process of the transfiguration and sanctification of the bread and wine sacrament. He explained what that was. Then when we got up, now's the punchline. We got up and we got there. And who were we met by? We were met by Dr. Hurtak, who had special oil, special sacred oil. And he put his finger in there and he made a sign or touch on your third eye right here and say, may you be sanctified in the love of Christ. And the next person, he did that for all 200 people. That was extra special.
It was probably frankincense and myrrh.
Frank and Murr, they're the usual kind of guys. Hey, Frank, where are you today? Hey, Murr, no, that was a different story. But you're right. Yeah, but it was perfect to have that, and that should be done in every church, with every bishop, when you come up and get your communion, that he puts a sacred mark on your third eye, which, interestingly enough, that mark is the heart chakra of the vibrational pattern that you're trying to excite. Huh?
That's beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, that sacrament. And when I said
your heart is the root, and your third eye is the heart.
Right.
Of
the next one, the next vibrational pattern above you,
which is your oversoul.
Well, it's continued. It's six levels,
okay,
all the way up to the 28th chakra. Right? And each one cascades on the other. So it's kind of like a stepping ladder or a Jacob's ladder or steps to the top of the temple. Right? Each one is
That's
a
why
step.
you kept saying Jacob's ladder. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that extra little piece, yeah, you bless the bread and you bless the wine. Now it's all done. Chow it down as you think. But to slow it down and put it into a synergistic combination of the whole group that is there. So the group forms a unique family. And to put that oil on the third eye asks the creator to activate your awareness of your higher selves, because it's in increments, right? It's just like if you're a cell at the tip of your finger, right here in the tip of your finger, and that cell gets smart and looks back at all of this, it goes, hey, that's a lot to take in. Well, that's where we are. We are one cell in our stepping ascension of our higher consciousness. So we're 1/7, the 7 chakras of the 28. Huh? So we're a cell at the fingertip of creation. And he's trying to get us to think other than just the body. Okay, just wanted to add the oil.
You can go on your next topic. No?
Oh, you're not done though. You had other
we
things.
Can go back
No. I want to hear the rest of it. I didn't mean to interrupt, but
that
oil thing was really impactful, and if I didn't mention it, you wouldn't know that happened. And I'm not even telling you about the transfiguration ceremony, but if you're interested, go to the Pista Sophia in book 5. They describe the actual transfiguration process and how that keys in to the tree of life. Man, the whole thing is coming together.
So we kind of fast forwarded to a lot of this content, maybe for those in the audience that don't really understand the history of Hurtak and his message. And you said it so beautifully the other night. For someone that's never heard of him before, can you summarize his experience and what he decided to how he took that information and wrote books, right?
He was an individual on his path and always had a leaning toward the true meaning of being Hurtak and being aligned with the Jewish orientation.
A Hebrew scholar?
Hebrew scholar is what his PhD is in, Hebrew linguistics and biblical something or other. He knows how to read and write. But he also has spiritual principles that he garnered out of the stuff that he was reading, so that he aligned himself with his higher consciousness. So much so that he got to a place that during one of his meditations, he was assumed into ultra angelic vibrational pattern. And his body and consciousness had to be altered to allow him to experience the teachings that they were going to give him. In such a way, because of the vibrational pattern that he was at, it was past the 28th chakra, that was so powerful and so now and so embedded that all of that information that he was exposed to for the number of hours that he was there, he has not defined whether it was 6 hours, 2 hours, or 5 days. But whatever it is, or when he came back into his physical body, he had all of that information in his head, and he wrote the 600-page book, which is phenomenally detailed, and it explains why we're here, how we got here, not from a physical point of view, but from a metaphysical point of view, and how you can align with your higher self, connect up with your creator, and be the witness. And it doesn't say that at that point, because those words were embedded in such a way. But now that we know about being a witness and using the wisdom, and because it's knowledge, understanding, knowledge of the creator, and with that knowledge, do we have an understanding of how that can be utilized? And once you have an understanding of how that knowledge of the creator can be utilized, then you use it and apply it in a way that is wisdom. And that's the one that we learned today. So a prayer that I came up with 3 years ago included knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And so when I heard that this Easter was going to be wisdom, I said, man, we got to be there, because that is the key to enlightenment, is taking the knowledge of you being an eternal being, understanding the process, and applying it properly, and enjoying the wisdom from that. That is a minimum triad. And so I'm buzzed, man. I'm really, yeah.
So some of the guest speakers that I found really profound. And, by the way, we had a great time, because on different breaks and the little, they didn't do breakfast, but they did lunches and dinners.
Well, we didn't start till 10, so how are you going to do breakfast?
We got to connect with different people, and I'm in Arizona, so I've collaborated with some local people, and they have a Sedona group, so we can kind of carpool, and they meet twice a month in Sedona. So I'm pretty excited about that. But
sometimes Hurtak is there, and sometimes he's not.
Yeah.
Because he's living now in Sedona.
Yeah. So one speaker in particular I thought was awesome. James J. Traits, or James Traits. I will show his book here. So this is, oops, I'm covering you up.
It's all right.
That's his book. And he talked about the power of our beliefs, and also added in invalid belief systems, right? Because these are systems that, whether it's things that we've accumulated over our lifetimes from just our own experiences and made our own conclusions about the way we believe things are, or that were inbred into us by the culture, television, our parents, right? The power of our beliefs is the foundation of creating our reality. So I believe that that's a quote by Eckhart Tolle, but I made a lot of notes during James's spiel there. We co-create our reality, and sometimes we create by default based on our own beliefs. So, I mean, everything that he was saying, and that I had to run out and just buy this book. They had
I bought it. Hey,
Oh, yeah,
it's a
everybody
gift.
gets credit. Everybody gets credit.
I got 2 books,
They had
one
lots
for
of
her, one for
tables.
me.
Yeah, they had tables with books and CDs of, the musicians and all kinds of cool stuff. Just, think convention, right?
Conference.
Conference or convention.
Well, convention would have other guys, which were there other, but a convention would have many other guys. This is a kind of closed conference with
Gotcha. It's a conference.
similar contributors.
Oh, true. So the idea that we co-create our reality, and sometimes we create by default. Give you an example of something like that. There's this great new job that's being posted, and this is all pretend, right? And the person says, "Wow, I really want that promotion, but I'm sure there's somebody better than me that's probably going to get the job." Or because of my age, or because I'm a female, or because of my cultural background, there's going to be somebody else already slated for that. So that's kind of, in a way, creating by default, right?
Well, you're invalidating the thing that you want. And as Abraham Hicks says, you picture what you want, and Bashar, picture what you want, and proceed with passion and enthusiasm, and don't be attached to the result, because you may not get it. And don't piss yourself off because, oh my God, I didn't get it, and I prayed, and they didn't. I'm not going to pray anymore because, for heaven's sake, I'm not going to ask. Should I go and ask for something if they never listen to me? Because I pray, and they don't hear it, and I say, I don't get it, I don't pray anymore. Stupid. You go and you pray with passion and enthusiasm, but you don't be attached to the result. Why? Because maybe what you're going to get is a stepping stone to what you really want. And if you're attached to your own consciousness of what it has to be, then you'll miss it. You won't be a witness. You'll be a demanding little brat who says it's got to be my way or the highway. You want to be a witness. This is a family event, and you're a witness to the joyousness of the family. And once you can understand that, you can join the wisdom from it.
So one of the other quotes I wrote down that he said was that our brains trigger our ability to experience our reality. Is pretty much the same thing, but it's getting a little bit more granular, right? So I'll give you an example of that. That person doesn't like me, right? That person's always treating me like crap. I know that person doesn't like me. By thinking that, of course, you're interpreting the experience and coming up with a conclusion, and then you're agreeing. You're coming to an agreement with that conclusion. That's a belief.
Yeah,
right?
and it may not even be relevant.
And you're holding on to that, and then you kind of repeat that almost like a mantra. So that person doesn't like me. Or how about, those may have been some unfortunate experiences with that person in the past, but if you say to yourself, that person values and appreciates all aspects of who I am, and we have positive interactions, right? And moving forward, right? Because you want to think of, we're only in the now. And there was a lot of speaking about, the past, present, and future, that there's really only now. So if we're putting ourselves in the mind frame of positive thinking and analyzing the fact that we may have these inaccurate or invalid belief systems, then we can change the vibration and our expectation of what we believe. And so just like what Rico was saying about, many of the gurus and teachers out there are kind of all saying the same thing, right? Whether it's Bashar or
Abraham
Hicks, Eckhart
Tolle.
It is that mantra, and it is about stating what you feel is a need, what you perceive to be something that you would expect, but not, how did you say it? Allow it to come, but not
don't be attached.
Don't be attached.
Don't be attached to the result. Put it out there. This is what I want. When you're ready, I'll get it. I'll recognize it. But don't be attached to the result, because the result may be encoded. It may be a stepping stone. It may be a wave. Okay, another way to look at this, we're all on our own individual surfboard, and we're choosing our waves. There are a group of people sitting on the beach watching us on our surfboard and watching us choosing our waves. When something happens You say, oh, I want this guy to win, and you say, I'm praying that he wins. You have no effect over what's going. You can contribute, you can go and energize, but it's him, his surfboard, and his choice of waves. And that's what every entity, every moment in life is what it is. So therefore, it behooves us to create a synergistic energy between our biological earth vehicle and our higher consciousness. Not from the point of being a body, but from the point of being a higher consciousness that can use the body on this planet and simultaneously use the progression that we are energizing to the 28th and higher chakras that exist simultaneously in other dimensions. If you limit yourself to just this dimension and you say things that you think only can happen here, then you're tying yourself up, because sometimes you choose a wave that maybe that wave is a warm-up for bigger waves, or that wave will actually get bigger than what you originally thought it would be because of the ground and the repercussions and so on. So you do the best you can. So if we say you should develop a methodology of aligning yourself, your consciousness in this body, with your higher consciousness. So maybe 8 years ago, I started on they said, hey, you know what? You should picture what you want to be. Picture, make it big. Tony Robbins, hey, make it big. Yeah. So I said, well, ultimately I got to the place where I said, well, I'm an epigalactic, infinitely evolving, pan-dimensional, synergistic eternal life force. And I went with that for a long time, a long, long time. I'm going to skip all the little steps in the middle, but I've been working on this for maybe 7 or 8 years. And I say it as often as I can, especially before I go to bed, my meditation. So now it's, I am a divinely enlightened, epigalactic, infinitely evolving, pan-dimensional, joyously transcendent Christ consciousness, enjoying my synergistic, spontaneous self being synergistic eternal life force, as I dance this cosmic dance for the enlightenment and joyous entertainment of all that is. So you work on yours, find one. You got one, dig in there, dig deep. How are you going to do? We come up with one and keep working on it until you got to the point where not only can you say it easily, you can say it daily, many times daily, but you can live it. And because you're a higher consciousness and you're telling the higher consciousness, this is what I want, this is what I feel that I am, this is what I'm hearing from you, and I'm manifesting here, and this I'm naming it in here, it'll manifest. But don't be attached to the else, because a lot of stuff, believe me, a lot of stuff happened in the last 7 or 8 years.
But also, we come down here and we forget, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so by you doing this, you're connecting and you're aligning with your higher self. The higher self is like, wow, we got it, right? Because we come down here and we're kind of blind.
Yeah, so I got another one now that's kind of come out of this, and it has to do with the knowledge, understanding, because I'm in a little bit of a flow now. I know it by heart, believe me, but I'm going to read it just so that I don't mess it up, because it is really important that I say this one correctly, and I don't want to tongue tie myself because it's relative. It's right here. It's relatively new. It's relatively new. I do know it, but here it is. Okay, so we wanted to incorporate the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom with the love that we can get from the Creator. So this is a year I've been working on this one, but this is the state of it is now. Jesus Christ, Son of the living God, our deliverer and Messiah. Well, it turns out that line right there is the whole Keys of Enoch and the message that we have listened to this weekend. Fill my heart and aura with all your divine love as the Creator's advocate. Christ is the Creator's advocate. He there represents the Sun universe creation, and we're part of that. And so may this divine awareness give me the knowledge. Hey, we got to the knowledge, right? To share so that my understanding, understanding is important, so that my understanding of the God within us will enable redeemable actions of wisdom, leading to the realization that Christ light in me, which is another way of saying enlightenment. Instead of saying and, you say Christ. Christ light in me quickens my spirit for love, joyousness, and and quickens my and synergistic service to others, sanctifying all that is. Now, why do you say sanctifying all that? Well, if you live in alignment with the Creator, then in a way, He gives you awareness, you give back sanctification. Huh? That's what came out. I've been working on this thing since 2022, but this is the latest one.
That kind of looks good, right? You can see it. You can take a screenshot right now.
No, make up your own or use that one. I don't. It's not copyrighted, but that is the latest version of March the 11th. And a month later, we're in this conference, and all of this is right in line with what we covered. And you end by saying, I say this in the name of the Savior of the world. Now, some of the lines in there, like Son of the Living God, the Savior of the world, Deliverer, Messiah, are in a book that Hurtak also printed this year, is the 76 Names of Christ. Salvator Mundi. He took the Da Vinci picture of Christ and gave, and it also has a page and a picture, a page and a picture. So you got 150 pages, half a text and half are incredible pictures, which are part of the cosmogram of you to enlighten yourself, and a mantra to go with it. So you got a mantra and a picture, and enlightenment is on its way. So I had gotten that book before and started to go through it. So some of these were from that book, and I embedded them in to a prayer that was way before this one, but I embedded them all into one. And so a lot of people say, not a lot, but some people go, I don't want to hear you talking about God. He's talking about Christ. Hey, we know all about that stuff. That's bullshit. I know people who say that that's bullshit. That is the negative energies on the planet keeping you trapped. Now, how do I say that? In Hawaii, there's this thing where you have a bucket full of crabs, and people just can't wait to go and take them and cook them up and, eat them. But when they're watching, people are watching the bucket, you'll notice that there's one steps all over everybody else and is reaching to get out of the bucket. The other ones look at it and go, hey, you want to get out of the bucket? They grab him and pull him back down. That is an image and similitude of what's going on the planet. When you say Christ and the Creator and God and higher enlightenment, they go, that's bullshit. They're pulling you back down into the morass that we're in right now. Not going to judge any of it because you don't judge, right? We're here in this mud bath to enlighten ourselves and to raise out of this. I have a friend of mine who says, my life's work is now reality. I'm dedicating myself to reality. And I go, hey, man, I've been doing that for 50 years. You're just getting around to it. He's in his mid-40s or late 40s. I don't know what he is. And he go. So I said, we should collaborate. I got stuff I've been saving. I'm a serious kind of guy in this area. No, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in higher consciousness. So you're taking a mathematical point of view? No, you come up here and we'll do it face to face because I don't believe in social media. And I said to him, look, Everything that's on the planet now is for your enlightenment and your joyous entertainment. It's up to you and how you use it. So if you're going to go and make a blank statement, we're pulling you back into the pan and you can't use any of this, there was a lot of trouble to get those social media things moving. You realize what a gift that was, right? So
And
don't go
utilize the gifts that we have.
and don't
Just like this gift.
right and yeah right. I mean, God, other times you would have had to been a psychic to listen to us in our little cave where we were chanting the holy names. Now we got it all done here. You're going to say, I'm not going to watch anything. You're kidding. It's on too.
But I want to finish up with the belief systems because I think that everything's pretty much intertwined or interconnected when it comes to
Entanglement. There is a
when it comes to our choices of words. Our words are spells. Our words are like chants. And if we are chanting the same mantra over and over again, especially if we're saying negative things about ourselves, that ties into forming a belief system. And then we let that limit ourselves. And really, all of us are unlimited, right?
Right.
And I also wanted to share about just a little bit that we had with the Pashuta Vibe kirtan band. That was Monday night. And so we took some of the chants and mantras from the weekend, and we'll take a break, and when we come back, I'll hold it up on the screen of some of the chants that Rico put together for us from what we did over the weekend. And if you can show it on your computer, yeah. And so we got together with the band, and it's kind of almost like you go into another dimension when you're making music. It's almost a meditative type of a. Here we go. So let's see if we can hold it up. That's reflecting.
Yeah, well, you could see what.
Whoops! There goes my book. So these were some of the mantras that we sang together Monday night with Pashuta Vibe, and I'll put a link.
You move it so that we.
It is there.
Yeah, I meant the other ones on top.
Okay, scroll. Nothing more.
You scroll. Yeah, that's because you have to move it this way.
Okay. Yeah, and so I'll put a link to some of our materials that we did together in our kirtan band here in the Phoenix, Arizona area. So, we took what we learned in terms of some of the mantras, and we put them into action by singing together with our kirtan band.
Well, the other side is that they usually sing Sanskrit mantras from Sai Baba and a bunch of other places. But this was a nice addition of having Hebrew ones. And interestingly, they are all kind of connected in a certain rhythmic way. And there was one point that what we did is that we were singing, all of us were singing on the same rhythm, but different mantras. We got to so that we were interacting different mantras.
Overlaid,
and so you could hear the voice. It was, man, it was, and that one of them, I'm only going to show you one here, which you.
No, you got to do.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot which one I was. Yeah, and the one of them that I put in there, we are the wisdom. This one right here, we are the wisdom. Man, I went on a groove to that.
We'll post links when we upload this video into YouTube. What else? Well, there's something else that I wanted to talk about in terms of interesting synchronicities. So they had a Friday night session, and then it was all day Saturday and Sunday, and then there was a session on Monday, which I had to work.
When we say all day, it started at 10 and went to 10:30. That's all day.
12 and a half hours. So
we had lunch in the meantime.
So I had Friday off work, and so we kind of were prepping for the evening and getting ready to drive up to where the event was in Paradise Valley, actually at Embassy Suites. And so we decided to watch one of the channelers that we are really into, Tyler Ellison, who went by Rio, however he's calling himself now.
R-Y-O, Rio.
Or Rio. So we watched, and it was really profound, right? We watched that on YouTube, and then we're prepping to go up to the session. And the individual that happened to interview Rio at that particular video that we watched, his name is Alan Steinfeld. So when we got there, I saw him and I was just kind of blown away. And I was like so excited. I said, "Oh my gosh, we just watched you on TV today." And I just felt like I knew him, like I gave him a hug. So not only was that like a really profound kind of a connection, but we connected with a lot of different people. But I did really want to talk a little bit about Alan Steinfeld and his book, Making Contact. So as mentioned, different speakers have different philosophies and experiences that they bring into the whole experience of the conference. So one of the things that he talked about, one topic that he talked about, was a remote viewing. And I wanted to read a little bit about, for those of you that aren't familiar with what remote viewing is. Remote viewing, and I got this right off the internet, by the way, not his book, but remote viewing is the practice of seeking impressions about a distant or unseen object, unseen by the physical body, purportedly sensing with the mind. Typically, a remote viewer is expected to give information about an object, event, person, or location that is hidden from physical view and separated at some distance. So actually, the CIA kind of got on the bandwagon with this whole remote viewing thing, and they did experiments. So I mean, it's a real thing. So I do want to share my experience because Alan Steinfeld, who I love, he's so awesome. You gotta check his book out.
And he's going to do a remote viewing class.
Yes, and I'm going to take the
over
class.
five sessions.
Yes, I'm going to put the link.
We're going to sign up. We're going to give you the link.
And I'll put the
link. Stay tuned, man. We're going to interview him. He's going to be fantastic.
So he had something in his pocket, and he asked the whole audience to just kind of relax and do some breathing. And, you know, we're going to do a remote viewing exercise. I'm like, well, this is really cool. So he told us to just not guess what he had in his pocket, but draw an image that you could just see in your mind, and just don't even try to give it a name, right? Don't even try to classify what it is. And I felt that was a little bit of a challenge for me, because I think that our natural inclination is biological Earth. What's your line?
Biological Earth vehicles.
You know, we want to try to guess.
Bev.
You know, as a kid, right? Like, guess what's in my pocket, and it's like a game. So you kind of want to go that way. So it's like, okay, let me just draw. And so I saw a circle, and I saw something that looked kind of like, well, let me show you what. So I printed this out. So this is the remote viewing exercise. These are the objects that I drew. So the first thing I drew was the circle, and then I almost kind of saw something that I felt was almost shaped like, I don't know, the fob to my car, you know. And here again, I'm, you know, sort of in a way trying to guess. And then I saw something that kind of looked like this type of a shape, and for some reason my mind just kept trying to go to guessing. I'm thinking, like, it looks like it could be shaped like a rabbit's foot or something. I don't know. I'm just drawing. So this is what I drew. And so what ended up in his pocket was a shell. Now, I don't have the shell that was in his pocket.
Fine, otherwise we would have had to pick his pocket.
Right? But when you came home, when my dad lived in Hawaii, well, no, it was the next morning. When my dad lived in Hawaii, I actually bought this object, and I saw it on my jewelry stand the next morning. So I put it on and I wore it. So this is what was in his pocket. It was a shell. So this is the shell, or a similar shell to what he had in his pocket. Well, this particular shell was made into a ring. The reason I put this on was to show Alan the next day, but it's interesting that I had drawn this circle, and I showed Alan, and he says, "Were you remote viewing your ring?" But actually, the top of his shell, and mine looks like a spiral, but the top of his shell was a perfect circle. So mine is more like a spiral. But anyway,
yours is a Fibonacci shell.
Yes.
Fibonacci. The spiral.
So anyway, that was a really cool experience with Alan Steinfeld's remote viewing exercise. We're going to take his class. You know, there's no what do you call that? Sponsoring with what we're doing here. We're just having fun. But I haven't quite read his book yet. But this has to do with extraterrestrials, and JJ Hurtak wrote something in this.
I bought this on Kindle because I looked at the other names. I wasn't really that familiar with the other names, but there was a great paper on JJ Hurtak and Desiree Hurtak in this book. Well, it's the only one that I read on the Kindle. So my daughter gifted me. I came back from wherever I was, and she was talking to him. Oh, Alan, and he was how neat. And suddenly they see 2 books there, and she says, "I bought you a book." I said,
No. He grabbed the book and he goes, "Oh, I want to buy one of these." And I go, "I already got you one."
Already got me one, right?
And I had him autographed.
I have it on Kindle, but this is better because you can look at everybody. For your enlightenment and joyous entertainment. That's my tagline, by the way.
Okay, we're going to take a really quick break. We'll be right back. All right, so we took a little break here, and we're kind of winding down, and we're going to wrap up. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in on the excitement and the experiences that we had at the 50th anniversary conference with JJ and Desiree, Drs JJ and Desiree Hurtak. And I'll give the floor over to Rico.
Yeah, so I came here on Wednesday. The conference started on Friday. So I brought last year's book with me. This is the witness book. And there's all kinds of stuff in here. But I happen to notice that the copyright on this book is 1-2-3, 1973. I said he was embedded with all of this information. All of this information, I would say 90% of it was already embedded in his head. It just had to be written out, and he put some little references to today's things in it. But this is a great book, and this is also 164 pages, of which you could see the same theme, a pictograph followed by text, a pictograph followed by text. It's phenomenal. You can order these books on the Keys of Enoch site, and they're individual. If you don't get I think you should get the Keys of Enoch book, but if you want to start, there's an introductory book that will kind of whet your appetite for the Keys of Enoch. But if you want something thou shall be's, these 8 books are thou shall be's. This is 7 and this is 8. Now, because we're on 8, I want to cover just a couple of little things to give you an idea on how powerful. When we say wisdom, wisdom, I remember wisdom. King Solomon said, "Hey, you 2 bitches are complaining about the kid. Well, cut it in half. You can each have half." Ooh, he's so smart. The one who said, "No, don't touch it, Mike. That's the baby. You can have the baby." Oh, okay, that must be yours. He had insight. He had understanding. He had knowledge. So that's what this is. Let me give you some key things in here. Just super, super highlights, because we're wrapping up. So here's an introduction, okay? Introduction, he covers a couple of things. And the main one, the main paragraph is, what is the nature of wisdom? We know about wisdom. We know about King Solomon. But what's the nature of wisdom? So he goes through and he gives 8 identifiable things that are related to the nature of wisdom. And this helps. So the first one is the wisdom of knowing that we're not alone. Hey man, is that a big help or what? Just to know that you're not alone in this universe, nor in any other realm. So regardless of where your consciousness takes you, even in sleep time, you're not alone. Isn't that wonderful? Have you ever slept and had a dream that you were the only one around? That's sad. All of us dream we're kind of surrounded by people we don't know, but they're there, and we're in spirit form. Huh? That's another similitude, that you really are a spirit, and while our body is tripping itself, you're living a whole life in that. Now, let's not get carried away. The next one is the wisdom of knowing that the universe and all life is part of a musical symphony. Remember how I said at the beginning, your body is a musical instrument? And by chanting the holy names and knowing that having this awareness, you can attune your musical instrument to create higher energy patterns to connect up with your higher self, which is behind the mathematics of the universe that we live in. The musical chakras, the 12 notes in the chromatic scale is the same as the 7 basic notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. for musical notes with the sharps and flats, that is in alignment with the chakras. So your body is a musical instrument. Use it as such, not for war, not for negative things. Make nice music, please. Make nice music. The third, and notice in every one of these, the wisdom of knowing. See how that thing, knowledge, understanding, wisdom. That's a trifold connection. And they're saying, okay, you can't have wisdom without knowing, and you can't know without understanding. It's important. But now that you got wisdom, these are the nature of wisdom. The next one is the wisdom of knowing there's no separation, all levels of existence. That, yeah, you might be here, just like your little cell on the tip of your finger. You think that is isolated? It's connected. It's connected to the shin bone, connected to the knee bone connected to the thigh bone. Well, your heart chakra connected to your eighth chakra connected to your upper chakra. Make your music, baby. All right, so you're not alone and you're connected. There's no separation unless you make the separation. Don't focus on the separation. Focus on the unity, focusing on the flow, focusing on the triad of creation. Yod He Vod He. On the right-hand side is Christ. On the left-hand side is El Shaddai, Metatron. And all of that works together for your enlightenment and your joyous entertainment. Now, number 5, the wisdom of knowing that we have a higher self. Ain't that a good thing to know? We got a higher self. Every time you stop bitching about something you don't want, no, I don't want to have, don't, you got a higher self. Drop all that stuff.
Pause real quick. So that was something else I was going to say earlier, that the neuralistic programming that we feed ourselves or we buy into. Because when you're focusing on, I don't want red, all your higher self is hearing is red, right?
It doesn't hear the don't.
Yeah. So those words are a chant or a mantra. And like what you just said, when you say something, positive phrasing is really important.
Positive phrasing.
Yes. And I do this sometimes in my work, right? Instead of saying, we can't do that for you, say, what we can do is blah, blah, blah. And it's really kind of new ways of thinking are very much embedded in the business world and in society now, right? It's not completely foreign, but to bring it into our personal lives is also something else we need to work on.
Exactly. Turn your body into a musical instrument and know that you're not alone. You got help everywhere you want to look. Just look, connect up, and enjoy it.
And if you want to get real basic, is the cup half full or half empty? That's really what it's all about.
Well, the cup has water and it serves a purpose. Forget about half full, half empty. Who's quantifying? Right? There's no quantity. It's a union of the cup and the water. We are holding water in this vehicle for a greater purpose.
Right, but I'm just using it
I'm
everyday terms.
I know. Well, I'm just
because
trying to.
It's easy for us to say this sucks, but it's actually look at the bright side.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, I'm just adding to that. Yes, right. Everything you said was right. But another way of looking at a cup and not asking whether it's full or not, or half full or full or whatever forget about it. It's water suspended in a vehicle for a greater purpose. Who cares if it's full or half full? I'm not criticizing.
Can I give an example?
Yes, please.
Okay, so during the pandemic, I was able to work completely 100% remote, and I didn't have to go anywhere, right? I got to work from home the whole time. Now they're kind of wanting us to get back into the office, so I'm 3 days. So that's what I meant about the cup half full, is because I could be like, wow, this sucks, I got to drive to work. Or I could be like, wow, I'm on the 9th floor of a beautiful building overlooking Camelback Mountain every day. Like, I'm so blessed, and I'm so blessed to have a job. Like, that's what I'm saying about positive phrasing.
I understand. And another thing is that isn't as joyous that I get to leave the house and experience the family and the names of the outside, and look at the gift that it gave me. I'm on the 9th floor overlooking the whole Phoenix Valley here, downtown Phoenix. I mean, so it's a good thing. Everything that happens for you is good. If you don't see the good, okay, the Creator is in everything. If you don't see the Creator in everything that happens to you, you're not looking hard enough, because the Creator's there. Now, what kind of synergistic toolkit do you need to put together to take any event, I don't care what it is, and see the creator? If you can't see the creator, you're not using enough tools. You got to go and reevaluate your stuff, like De Niro says, hey, you know what I'm talking about? Hey, you don't see it, then I can't help you, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, the next one is the wisdom of knowing we live in an open-ended universe and that this planet has gone through many previous cycles, yet we have always been watched and protected as a species by the order of Michael. So now that we've been here and blah, 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 blah. So don't go and say, this is it. And if we get extinguished here, then that's the end of it. That's kind of final. It's not, hey, this is a flow. We're in a lava light of experience. Things are happening. We're in a bubble. The bubble moves. It bangs into other bubbles. Lava lamp of life. Exactly. Lava lamp of life. Look at the God part in every event. And it's open-ended. It doesn't end when the planet ends. If the planet ends, no big deal. You go to a different planet. Or you go stay in the spirit form. It's up to you what you need for your enlightenment and your joyous entertainment. The next one is the wisdom of knowing that the DNA code in our body is interchangeable with cosmic linguistics of the divine name Yod He Vod He. And you say, well, that's a foreign. Well, we're living in a Cohen, COHN reality. That's carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. 98% of the things that we are involved in have those four elements. So you could say, well, Yod He Vod He doesn't exist. That's crazy, so on and so forth. Oh, but carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. Oh, gee whiz. Now we understand. Who made the carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen? Yod He Vod He. It's symbolic and connected entanglement into that. So don't put one down because you don't understand the other. Elevate yourself so that you can be interconnected, realigned, synergistic, applied together. That's the joyousness.
Known traditionally as Yahweh, right?
Well, it's like calling him Joe. Hey, you. It's like, hey, are you high? No way, Yahweh. It's Yod He Vod He. It's those four letters that are important. Yes, you could pronounce it as what?
The cover, see?
Yeah, Yod He Vod He Elohim. Elohim are the creator gods. So that energy between the Elohim, Christos, and El Shaddai, that love is so powerful that it created another level of organizational hierarchy called the Elohim with the creator gods. They all had specific things. And by the way, in similitude, we're the same thing. Picture this big infinite puzzle. We are one piece in that puzzle. It's also a holofractal, multidimensional, epigalactic energy source. But let's say, for simplicity, it's a piece to the puzzle. And when all the pieces of the puzzle are in alignment with the creator source, and we all fit together in harmony, like the family and the name and the image and the light, all of that works together. Now, it may not be the whole universe together, but on our planet or in our family or in our community or whatever, get your group. You know what everybody should have? A chanting kirtan song fest once a week or as often as you can with your family and friends. Chant love together. Soulful, prayerful groups together will lighten you up, turn your body and your community into a musical fest, a highlighted fest. And that could be the highlight of the week. We're supposed to do that on Sunday. But you know how it is. Oh, I got to get up. I got to put a tie on. I got to shave. I got to drive down to the place. They're going to go and do a sacrament. They're going to get a piece of bread. They're going to walk away. Where's the oil? Where's the anointment? We're not eating together. Okay, I take it by myself, I mean, put some reverence and some sanctification Put sanctification into the process. That's what he's trying to get you out here. The nature of wisdom is sanctification of your experience and entanglement in the Creator. Look for God in everything. If you don't see him, you're not looking hard enough. Now, number 8 is the wisdom of knowing Christ Jesus. Everybody, but it's a curse word. So yeah. There's also Melchizedek. There's also Metatron. It's also known by El Shaddai, Enoch, and the hosts along. Buddhas, Basivas, Rishas. They got all kinds of guys. Everybody who's trying to help you is in alignment. Don't just put one down and hey, no, we're having separation. My Jesus is different than your Jesus, and your Buddha is different than my Buddha, and your Tao is different than. It's all enlightenment, how to integrate it together and have it to be all one wonderful thing. That's what the idea of wisdom is. See God in everything and integrate it together. That is applying the knowledge and having the understanding to see the wisdom in everything. And that's what this whole thing was about. And he says this right in the introduction. All right, so you're cheap, you don't want to buy the book. You heard what I said. I read it to you. Think about it. Think about it. Dwell on it. In a week or 2 or 3 or 5 minutes or whatever your time triggering stance is, buy the book and read it now. And it may be a little bit more complicated because you didn't show up and you didn't find any other stuff before. But you know what? This is your trigger to find the Creator in everything and be joyous all the time. Okay, so that was the nature of wisdom. But what else? Oh, he goes into another thing about the sacred letters. I won't bore you with that. It's very important. Tell you, you get the book, you read that, and go, oh, this is that. This now has meaning, and so on. But he has another thing, which is the power of prayer. Oh, by the way, the nature of wisdom, I said 8 points. This whole thing is 8. See, there's 8 for infinity, the horizontal on the earth plane, and then there's a vertical 8 up here. There's a vertical 8, which is also infinity. So infinity within infinity is 8 points. 8 points of wisdom, and guess what? 8 points for the power of prayer. We're too late. I won't read it all, but I'll tell you, the power of prayer is important. It applies the knowledge and the wisdom that you have, and it enables. I just read one. Just read one because the power. In prayer. We start over. I'm excited. I got to calm down. Okay, so
before you start, I went with him to a doctor's appointment, and his blood pressure was pretty high. But after the doctor's appointment, when he went into one of his spiels, not metaphysically oriented, just outflowing, and he was so excited and emphatic that the doctor's like, "Before you leave, I'm going to take your blood pressure again." It had gone down. So this is good for him. It's good for his heart.
That's right. I'm lowering my blood pressure. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to have a blood pressure below 120. It sounds like I got a lot, huh? It's because it's something different. It's not blood pressure. Okay. It's enlightenment.
The last one.
For your joyous entertainment. Okay, here's it says, with this understanding, because we talked about the understanding, let us use the power of prayer to unite ourselves with the divine as follows. I'll just read number 1. In prayer, to the Ein Sof, which is the source of all. And he kind of started the book off with Ein Sof. Ein Sof was the energy before the fragmented consciousness decided to split up into Yod He Vod He, the Christus, and El Shaddai.
And it wasn't the Big Bang, it was the big breath.
He said the universe was not created with a big bang. That's the earth people. We gotta have a bang. Hey, did you bang lately? Are we banging somebody over there? Hey, who are we banging today? It's not a bang. It was a breath. The in-breath of the Ein Sof, which is the source of all. By the way, source, O-U-R. O-U-R, our is in source. It should be small s, capital O-U-R-C-E. Huh? So we are part of the source. We're in there. We're embedded in that thing. And when we want to be one together for whatever purpose we design, we act as one. But when we want to fragment, then we put the fragmented part of Ein Sof, which is the Creator, the right hand, and the left hand, all united synergistically. Anyway, I tell you, this was very profound, and I encourage you to find something within yourself to align yourself with the higher vibrations. I happen to use many different things, and the Hurtak is one. He's not the only fruit in the Garden of Eden that I'm eating. He's one of many, but he does give me the foundation and the understanding and the knowledge and the wisdom so that I see that I'm not alone, that I'm part of the creation, and my function here is to be all that I can be in my synergistic, eternal love frequency. And I encourage you to do the same. And I say this in the name of the divine wisdom, Yod-Heh Vod-Heh, and the Christ and El Shaddai. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. It was very entertaining.
Hey, was it enlightenment? It was helping enlightenment in there too. Hopefully it's enough entertainment to keep you coming back. Subscribe below. Tell your friends this is a big one, man. We're making movement here.
Thank you, everyone. And there was so much more in the conference that we would be talking for 3 hours ourselves. So,
well, we got another episode coming later. We'll tell you what else we learned.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.